I think the interdisciplinary part of Hampshire, of like designing my own independent studies as well as some of the courses, really taught me to think big and not wait around for someone to, for example, design a solar charging station for my electric bike, which was the thesis of my graduate work at the University of Texas in Austin. I decided to design my own station using solar energy and found out 1 or 2 solar panels was plenty for my electric bike. And I think that goes back to the Hampshire education, is not waiting for innovation to arrive, but actually just diving in and figuring out how to make it yourself.
Hampshire taught me, no, life is not like this. Life is not always going to be an easy fly-by-night thing for you. You're going to have to work your ass off. You're going to have to really struggle. It's not always going to be you're the smartest kid in the room. Welcome to Hampshire. You are not the smartest person here. And that was okay, because then it was, well, where am I? Where do I fit in? Then I found the Farm Center and I met Leslie Cox and Nancy Hansen. They said, you are good at this. You are better than you think you are at this. You can do it.
You know, never had a secretary, never had a pension, never had a, you know, what you would think of as a real job in the corporate world. The ability to sort of figure out what needs to get done and do it without anybody kind of telling me what to do has been an invaluable skill, which I really developed at Hampshire.
I always knew that I wanted to go into a helping people profession, but I imagine if I had gone somewhere else, I might have gone into social work, or I never would have been able to reach and say, I have what it takes to really study science.
Todos tenemos que unirnos para combatir esta terrible enfermedad.
The important thing in terms of green buildings was not so much the science or the engineering or the technology. It was really changing the way people did things, because everybody wants to do it the same way they've done it in the past, because that's safe. So my background in communication and education really came in handy. Obviously, needing to understand the science to be able to convince people, but all in all, it was really about communicating and persuasively communicating and getting people to change what they're doing.
Es un método que se puede ver lesiones premalignas y se puede tratarlo antes que progresar.
I guess the roots of basic health are really from Hampshire. When I was a 4th-year medical student, as part of an elective experience, I spent about 4 months living and working in a small village. And at that time, a woman bled to death from cervical cancer in her home. And as you know, we have really good services for cervical cancer screening here in the US. And that experience really affected me. I went to the payphone and called a doctor in Madison and said, can you get me all the equipment to bring down with my friend who's coming to visit me? And we did a pap smear screening program of 87 women. And that's sort of how it got started.
The Farm Center is an amazing asset to Hampshire College. The Farm Center, for me, provided an outlet for a tangible sense of satisfaction with the world. I felt like I was doing something that was different, that made me part of a community that I hadn't been part of before. Everyone should have that opportunity to take themselves out of their comfort zone and plop themselves in the middle of something completely unique.
The course I'm teaching this Jan term is called Repurposing Everyday Objects and Social Change. So we're using, you can see the backdrop here, recycled bottles. As a designer, I'm really interested in how to make energy visible. We went into the bus stop as a class and saw that there could be better lighting, there could be an interesting installation having a repurposed object. Students have been really just fun to connect with. They're not afraid to design something that might be difficult to problem solve, but once that's there, if the message is strong, it can be totally new idea that we never would have thought of.
I got to work with Emily Ryan. She took my January term class, and during her time in El Salvador, she really noticed the need for a better exam table. And she got the idea to work with the folks at the Lemelson Center to create a guide bed that could be portable and made out of local materials. It's really exciting. It's really neat.
Part of the design education that I got from working at the Lemelson Center was actually building things myself. So what Lemelson offers is not only a space to do model making and 3D rendering, but actual real fabrication studio. 12 years later, I now have my own business as a woman designer, building solar charging stations.
The ability to succeed, and in some cases fail, and pick yourself up and move on and figure out how to make something work is a very important skill that one uses throughout their entire life.
And here I am, managing a 1,500-acre farm.